Were there any challenges convincing the landlord, or did he just give it to you straight away?
The challenge was initially when I was just talking to the landlord because he did ask how old I was, and he was like, "Oh, aren't you too young?" And he thought I was like a time waster.
How quickly did you start seeing results after getting the property live?
When I was done listing the property, I started listing it on booking.com. Immediately after just that, I put my phone down, I went to cook food, and then I came back. We already had a booking. And then just the next day when I woke up, we had a booking again for the next. It was that quick.
Welcome back, guys, to another interview. We are here with my student Presley, and we're going to be interviewing him and finding out how much he's making from his Airbnb and how he managed to do it. So let's get started, Presley. Can you just introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about what you were doing before joining the program.
Hi everyone, my name is Presley. I am currently on a gap year right now, 19. I started the program right after I finished school actually. After this, during the summer holiday, I'd applied for university to go for law, but I really wanted to go into property as well. And I didn't want to wait until I was done with uni and school and everything and saved up to start venturing into property. So I was looking for different ways in which I can do it. And then I came across Uzma and Lina's channel on YouTube and I saw that you can do rent to rent. So I took a look at that and that's when I then decided to then go on a gap year. So that is where we are currently at right now.
Okay, so out of curiosity, why were you trying to get into property when you were studying law? And actually, it's quite a similar story to myself because I was also in university at 19, I was studying law, and then I went on to a gap year. So it's quite similar.
Yeah, I always knew that one day I wanted to make my bread and butter from running a property business. So through maybe an estate agency or something. But I really didn't want to go and study university to be a real estate agent because the background where I come from is like, if you're going to go to university, it has to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, an accountant, those big careers. So I was more pushed towards the law side because I'm not really a numbers person, but really internally, I really knew that one day I just want to get into property. But I guess that little voice in my head just would not stop talking, say, you need to get into it now, you need to get into it now. So I was like, okay, I don't have much money. How would I get into this? And that's when I then started doing my research on how can I start getting into property, whether it's working part time at an agency while studying law. But when I found out about this, I thought I should just put my full attention on it and get started on it.
Okay, so you were in university and you wanted to get into property. Am I correct to say you couldn't afford to purchase a home at the time?
Yes.
So instead, you looked for other ways how you could get into property with little money, and that's
Yes.
what kind of brought you into this business model.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Tell me then, you mentioned you're doing this with your parents.
Yes.
What does that arrangement look like?
It's a sort of a longish story, but we moved from South Africa to the UK just only 2 years ago, and
Wow.
they also had a property back home that they were doing, and they were also trying to get into the business. And rent to rent was something that my mom had personally looked at on her own, but she just never mentioned it. So when I had to sit them down to tell them that I think I want to take a gap year, and they obviously were like, "Oh, okay." And I told them what I wanted to do. There wasn't any pushback that I had been expecting that I'd have to negotiate for because it was something that my mom had also looked at and it was something that she wanted to try back home as well. So because she had done that, literally I was like, these are my parents. I trust them the most. Doing it with someone that you know and trust is just better than doing it alone. And it's been working so amazing so far, just splitting responsibilities and everything. So it's really good.
Okay. And when your parents heard that you wanted to take a gap year to start this business, what was their initial reaction?
They were surprised that I wanted to take a gap year just because of how much work I put into getting into law, attending all those extracurriculars and everything. But then when they realized that I'm trying to build a future for myself at a young age and I'm not doing this because I want to party and do all these things with my friends, they saw the importance in that. And also because we're privileged to have such an opportunity to do this at a young age. So they were really supportive of it and they allowed allowed me to do that.
And why did you decide to join the program in the end then?
The reason why I decided to join the program was because I saw myself having this limited timeline. I gave myself 1 year and I said I can't spend it just trying and failing, trying and failing, trying and failing. I want to get the expert knowledge, someone that has already done this before, and not just any person. I wanted someone who was in a similar situation like me because I had been watching your channel for a while. You were at your end of your teenage years, you were working part time like I was. I was working at McDonald's at the time, part time as well. So I was like, this is very similar. And if they managed to do it, then I would too. It's not just some random American person where our circumstances are way too different to sort of replicate what they did. So when I saw yours, I was like, I think this is the program that I really need to join.
That's lovely to hear. And I really like what you said there. You mentioned if they can do it, then I can do it too. And that's such a strong belief to have. I do believe that comparison, it can sometimes be a bad thing, but then it's also a good thing because if you see someone else do it, you could see it in a way where you could make yourself think, okay, someone else that was in the same position as me managed
Mhm.
to get their first Airbnb at the same
Yeah,
age, right?
yeah,
19 years old. Why am I not able to do it?
yeah,
And when you think
yeah,
in that way, it really can take you far. And I can see that it's done it for you.
yes.
Did you have any doubts before joining a program?
I certainly did have doubts. Obviously, when you're going into something new, you have this, oh, what if it doesn't turn out? It was because I wanted this to work so badly for me. I had canceled out literally every other plan, and this was my plan A. So when I came to that point of realization that, oh, if this doesn't work out, then I don't know what I'm going to be doing then. I honestly have no clue. So there was that little doubt, but that was then the motivation for me to just keep going because I was like, I don't have much to fall back on. This, I have to either make it work or nothing else.
You've joined the program now. Tell me how you found the process when it came to learning and implementing what we teach.
It was very easy. My initial thought was you would join the program for a few months and then after 3 months or something is when you start. I was surprised that within the first week we were registering the company, we were registering a business bank. So you're learning and you're actually doing it right there and there. There's no time to waste. And that's really what I appreciated. And also because there's other people that are doing it. So you're able to sort of keep yourself going because it's not like school where you have a teacher to say submit your assignment or do this. It's you doing it independently.
Yeah, and also seeing other student wins, right? Would that motivate you?
Yes, definitely. Obviously, Neha's ones were my go. Like I saw her wins, and then I saw that she was my coach. It was really, really good. I think Khadija, if I'm not mistaken, they did the property in London, and then a few months ago they got like another property close to the airport, and they had said that they had this strategy where they didn't really have enough money to finish the renovations, so they put out the listing while it was not really completely done. They put sections of it, and they started getting bookings from it, and then from that, then that's when they used to generate more money. That was a win for me because not only did they get their property, but they were so strategic in finishing that, and that's even something that I was like, I will consider doing myself. So it's things like that that yeah,
Yeah,
are really
you
inspired.
get to learn from other student challenges and also their wins too. I think it's very special being a part of a community like this because you're all on similar journeys. Everyone's journey is different and you get to learn from each other. Tell me then, what month did you join the program?
We joined in September, just at the end of September.
Okay, so when did you manage to get your first property?
I think it was like 3 months and like some weeks. Yeah.
Okay, so you managed to get your property 3 months after joining the program. How did you manage to do it?
So initially, we'd been seeing other properties way before that. 2 months in, 1 month in, we were looking at properties, but it's not something that I was like, I want to get my property in 29 days. I was really just looking at, is the property good? There were some properties that they were so amazing inside, but then you check the area outside, you check the proximity, you need to really do your due diligence on it. So we had viewed countless properties. Honestly, I don't even remember how many we viewed. But then with this one that we got, it was through open rent. And I talked to the landlord And initially, the landlord was a bit hesitant because he just heard like a young person on the phone asking to do this, and he thought I was like a time waster. And I said, you know what, can we get on a call later? And with that, and talking to the landlord, him seeing us face to face, and I actually presented the business model, he could see that I was a serious person. So with that, then that's when he then agreed to rent it to us.
Were there any challenges convincing the landlord, or did he just give it to you straight away?
The challenge was initially when I was just talking to the landlord. He was hesitant because he did ask how old I was, and he was like, "Oh, aren't you too young?" And then that's when we hopped on a call like this, and we talked further in. I showed him the numbers, I showed him what we're trying to do, and what terms we would keep in the rental agreement so that his property wouldn't get damaged at all. And after him seeing that, he was then so happy about it, and he was excited. He was the one who was now eager for us to move forward. So yeah.
That's crazy. So at first, the landlord was quite hesitant, and then after jumping on a call like this with him, you broke everything down to him. You're essentially educating him for the first time on what this business model is, and then he was open to it.
Yeah.
That's what you actually find with a lot of landlords. They either have a certain image of the Airbnb business model, or they just don't know what it is at all. And it's our
Yeah.
role to either educate them for the first time, or we have to kind of re-educate them on what this business model actually is. That's all it is. Because why wouldn't a landlord want to work with us? Because we are offering them guaranteed rent. We're cleaning the property nearly every other day. We have a cleaning team that's spotting any maintenance issues, and we're rectifying it as soon as possible, which is going to uplift the value of the property in the long run. So if I explain it like this to landlords, and of course elaborating on who's going to stay in the property and how I will be maintaining it and how I will be managing it, they will want to move forward with you. The only time where they don't want to move forward with you is if we didn't convince them in a good way. Maybe there was something that we said which didn't really fit right with the landlord. So it's always about the approach, it's always about how we break stuff down to the landlord so they understand. So yeah, I can see that you've done that in a good way.
Yeah.
So well done on convincing the landlord. Okay, so you got the property then
Yeah.
after your third month of joining the program. Where is it located and why did you choose that location?
It's just a few minutes away from city center. The reason why we chose that property was before really doing much due diligence on it, it spoke for itself. Where it's located, just outside, you see the bus that goes straight into Birmingham City Center. And then as you drive, right behind the property is Queen Elizabeth Hospital, like this really big hospital in Birmingham. And then as you drive a few minutes away as well, there's a train station and there's the Birmingham University. So just it being there without you having to open a lot of platforms to do your due diligence, it already showed that it would be a good location for Airbnb. So then that's why we chose the property.
Okay, how much did you roughly spend on the furnishing and the whole setting up process?
So with the furnishing, we kept it really low. We kept it at just under £2,000. And then with other setting up costs, because what happened is we had to do a little renovations in the property as well. So I think just about £4,000.
Okay, you spent roughly £4,000 on setting up the property. Okay, so how quickly did you start seeing results after getting the property live?
When I was done listing the property, I started listing it on booking.com. Immediately after, just I put my phone down, I went to cook food, and then I came back. We already had a booking for the weekend. And then just the next day when I woke up, we had a booking again for the next week. So it was that quick.
What's the rental price and the bills?
So the rent is 1,050, and then with the bills it amounts to 1,300. So then we use Price Labs to do the prices for guests.
So what will you be making per month then from the property? You can let me know the revenue and the profit.
We're going over to 100 a night, 125. So that's when now we're making 1,000 profit, 1,200 profit. So we're looking at that.
Okay, and you're 19 years old right now. That's
Yes.
crazy. So, how many hours roughly are you spending per week managing this one property?
Barely any. So honestly, I won't even lie. You spend more time when you setting up your property, as long as you set it up well, which is something that we learned from the program, is that you put your systems in place, you make sure that it's just running smoothly on its own, which is what I did. I did automated messages on the channel manager with the pricing. I was using Price Lab so that I don't have to always be manually changing the price. It's all automated communication with the cleaners. You link them to your channel manager. They know when to go and clean. So after putting all that work within the first few weeks of going live, I only just have to open my phone for 10 minutes a day to check on the guests, to check on the bookings, to see if we have any. And sometimes when we do have a guest that's staying for a week or two, you won't even look at your phone and your booking sites regarding them for that 2 weeks. You just see the bookings coming in for 10 minutes a day, just quick communication, and that's it.
That's crazy. So right now you're making on average £1,000 per month in profit, and you're only spending 10 minutes a day managing.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You put it
Yeah.
into that perspective, it's crazy, right?
Yes.
Because your original plan, and of course it probably is still the plan in the long run, you really wanted to purchase a home, an investment property, like everyone does, right? It's nice to be
Yeah.
able to purchase property, save up around 50k pounds for deposit, and you have to have more money for solicitor fees or any
Yeah.
other fees, and it can all really add up. You've
Yeah.
spent only £4,000, and you're making probably more than what an average buy to let property would be making you per month. An average buy
Yeah.
to let makes about, it depends on the property, but on average in the UK, around £100 to £300 per month, right?
Yeah.
That's on a low deposit. But you're
Yeah.
making nearly 3 times more than that, and you don't even own the
Mhm.
property. You just rent it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And that's the beauty
Yeah.
of this business model. You could start this business model so young, at whatever age. You don't have to have a lot of cash. Credit score, I wouldn't say it matters that much, because landlords,
Mhm.
they do kind of let you off if you convince them
Mhm.
in the right way. And if you set up everything in the right way, literally 10 minutes a day, £1,000 a month in profit.
Yeah.
Most people have to work hours, at least 30 hours a week to make that amount.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, how does that make you feel then?
It makes me feel so accomplished. Like I can't even lie. Everyone else and my age group and age mates is just so surprised. Like, how did you do it? Oh, you're running a business at this young age. It feels so nice to say that I'm an entrepreneur. I you have a business. People will view you differently with more respect that you're able to start a business at an age. I will say you do put in the time, you do put in the effort. It's not just a walk in the park, but also it's something that's so achievable. And I think in our community, it seems like, oh, starting a business is like this thing that you have to wait until you're well accomplished in life. And so when people see me saying, oh, I run a business, it just makes me feel good as well to see their reactions and how happy they are. And yeah.
So, what are your plans for university then?
I'm still deciding. The decision will come with how many properties I'll have in the next few months. If we do have more, it might be something that I look into just staying on and doing. So for now, university is more of my plan B.
Okay, have you got any other units in the pipeline right now?
Yeah, we are looking at a few units as well in Birmingham mainly. So hopefully we'll be able to take those on soon.
Okay, how soon would you say?
Hopefully by the end of the month.
Okay, well, we're on 16 May now, so I'm gonna hold. Okay, how would you say your mindset and confidence has changed then since joining the program?
It's changed in a way where my age is not something that stops me from achieving something. From the program, there's quite a few young people that are doing so amazing. I forgot his name, but I saw he got like 8 management deals and he's doing university at the same time. My mindset just changed to say, you know what, anything is possible as long as you put your mind to it. Doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter what age you are or what your circumstances are. If you just do put your mind to it, you can achieve it. So that's how my mindset's changed from that.
Amazing. What was your favorite part of the program? What did you find most helpful?
What I found most helpful was the coaching, just being able to have someone to say, oh, I'm not sure about this, or I'm struggling about this. And they're like right there and there to help you to say, oh, I suggest you do one, two, three. Or this landlord has said that he doesn't want me to take his property because of this reason. And they're like, oh, well, try telling him this. It's a mentor essentially that you can just keep going to and asking questions. They will never tell you, oh, you're asking too much, or just that's enough for the day. I could ask as many questions to Neha as possible and she'd just respond. So yeah, that's what I really loved about the program.
You really like the one-to-one aspect.
Yes.
Amazing. And if you had to name one challenge, what would it be and how did you manage to overcome it?
One challenge essentially was in the first 2 months. Obviously, it's not going to be all smooth, especially with us because we don't live in Birmingham. We live all the way in Scotland. You need to have a team over there in Birmingham. You're managing it essentially remotely. I mean, Scotland is here, but it's not like you can just drive down to Birmingham every weekend. So we did have a few challenges when it came to cleaners, but you need to be proactive with that. You need to just check on your property, have someone to check on it. And that's when we realized that, okay, you know what? We think this cleaning team is just not the one for us. And then we moved on to another team. So it was things like that where you find things out and then you need to be quick because, obviously when you're closing off a day, you're losing money. So you need to be really quick in solving that problem. You have to be like a problem solver and a critical thinker to say, okay, this is the steps that we should take. That was the challenge we faced, but then we are slowly overcoming that challenge.
How did you manage setting up your Airbnb all the way from Scotland?
What we did is we got the unit and we went back home, and then we had a platform that were recommended from the student success coach where we can find someone to do renovations. So we did sort of vetting of the person, seeing the experience and everything, and then had them do the few renos. They took a bit more time than we wanted. And then from that, we just took about 4 days furnishing the place. And then once everything was set, you have your ring doorbell, you have your lockbox, and then you have a handyman as well, which our handyman is so good because even when you ask him to go check on the property, he could do that. So just establishing that team and finding people that you can trust, it just allows us to be able to be running it from here. You just get a report back to say, oh, we saw this at the property. They'll take a picture. We think it's damaged. What do you think we should do? And then you're the one that's just facilitating communication.
So, how are you finding it managing your Airbnb that's 5 hours away from you?
It's good. Like I said, once you have your stuff set up, we haven't gone to that place in a while now. We only went one day in April just to go check up on it, and then we haven't been since. We've only been there once. It's all just been fine, sorted.
That's great, Presley. So we've spoken about how you're remotely investing and the bookings that you're currently receiving from the property. I guess this is the last question that I personally have, and that is, what would you say to someone that's on the fence of joining the program?
I think they should really go ahead. There's nothing stopping you but yourself, honestly. If you're really serious about achieving your goals, if you have a set plan to say, this is where I see myself in life, there's nothing that you can lose. Honestly, you're just gaining a lot of knowledge. You're essentially investing in yourself and you're investing in your future. So I think you should just go ahead for the program.
Is it worth more than what you learned at university so far?
Definitely. They don't teach you this in the school.
So, thank you so much, Presley, for today's interview. I hope everyone that's watching is inspired from your story. And is there anything else that you wanted to say before we end the interview here?
If there's any parent that may be watching that's like, maybe your child has been talking about this, you've seen what it's done for me. I've invested into my own future. So I think we need to move on with the times. There's a lot of ways to make money than just going to study to be a doctor and all those things. And yeah, it's a good path to take.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Presley.